And you're going to get people that totally disagree with you. And the thing is, they disagree with you without listening. He didn't really watch my video. And I do a lot of my research. I do some great research. A lot of it's not that hard, actually. I've done pretty in-depth stuff. Some of it's earlier in my videos, right? But he says, to one of my videos, I was talking about how hate was destroying America. And I was talking about Trump and their farmers and a few other things. You can watch a video for yourself. But I also said some of it was Democrats' fault, too, for not running on better campaign issues, right? That's what I was saying. I do think that Democrats worry about some of the wrong stuff sometimes. They don't campaign hard and stuff, and they're not in depth to explain how they're going to fix certain problems a little bit better, right? That's the point I was making. That's exactly what I said. But this guy said, hey, bro, I'm going to have a counter argument that Democrats should have run more campaign ads with this. Sinclair owns all of the local TV stations in most of the areas that voted for Trump, so they would not allow Democrats to buy ads that controlled it. This is why there are no ads, bro. You have to do research before you open that middle of your face. This comment doesn't even match my video. I happen to like the hole on my face. That's kind of inappropriate, but if he wants to attack the way I look, that's what I expect from people like him. I don't expect anything else, okay? So I've never done a video on Republican ads, never done a video on Democrat ads, the TV stations. I never talked about who controls what, who doesn't allow what, right? I never said anything like that. So every now and then you're going to find comments like that. You're going to find people that say you do your research, but they don't listen to anything that you're saying, right? I'm not even calling him a Trump supporter. I can't even tell if he's a Democratic supporter. It really don't matter because his comment didn't match the video I made. So it's kind of hard to make any kind of comment to contradict some people. Some people are just like that. You can't help, right? But I'll stick by what I said, right? For Democrats to win last election, Kamala Harris, whatever, Biden probably shouldn't have ran. Sometimes you're just too old, and they might end up hurting the campaign a little bit more too. And that could be a separate conversation. But Harris was a little bit, didn't answer a lot of things the way people wish that she did. Right? Wasn't in depth, didn't understand some things, and neither did Trump, right? But the difference is Democrats care a little bit more about issues, and they want a little bit deeper, understand how you're going to fix a problem. Where Republicans, they get hyped up easy. They go to the rallies, they listen to Trump and his simple words, and they get caught up in everything, and then when it happens, like, oh, God, I end up hurting myself. Yeah, well, you didn't ask in-depth details, you didn't do your research, you just thought you knew. Right? Like I said before in another video, you have somebody from the far left that will go out to a far right rally and totally embarrass everybody there asking simple questions. You will have somebody in the far right go to a extreme far left, and sometimes they could do the same thing, right? So would I stand by what I'm saying? Yeah, that the Democrats probably could have done a better job of finding better people to run and making sure that their messages get heard. That was the important thing. And not only their messages get heard, they can't be babbling. They can't go off. They can't be talking about problems that only affect a few people. They got to effectively talk about how they're going to help. You see, don't matter if you're Republican or Democrat, right? When you say, hey, we got to fix this problem, okay? Well, how do you plan on fixing this problem? That's step one, okay? So a lot of times what happens is you hear, yeah, well, we need to raise minimum wage. We need to fix the medical in America. We got to have a plan to do that kind of stuff, right? Because it's easier for Republicans to have a plan to take away what's already in place because the system's there. Because, a physical system's already in place. It's easier for them to disintegrate it than it is for you to talk about how to add to it, right? So what happens sometimes is people want to hear what they want to hear. They get cut off. One of the things that might contribute to this argument is I heard Jackie Chan talk one time, right? Talk about audiences in Asia compared to audiences in America. And he talked about the length of a fight in a film. How Americans, after a certain amount of time, I forget how much time it was, so I'm not going to lie, said after a certain amount of time, they'll stop watching it. Don't matter how great the fight scene is, don't matter how great the kung fu is, the choreography. They'll lose interest, right? They'll start looking at their phones. They won't watch the TV no more. And so, That's the same thing about Democrats. And I heard the old Daily Show host before he got hired onto, I think it was CBS. I'm not. Trevor Noah said too. One of the reasons why Trump was famous is because of how simple he talks, right? So when somebody asked him, "What are you going to do about immigration?" and he goes, "To build a wall," and he did a great bit about that, and it made a lot of sense. So that's kind of what I was trying to inform, right? So it's not enough to be a Democrat and run to office. You got to actually reach out to people, say, "Hey, I identified the problem that's affecting you, and this is how I plan on fixing it." Republicans, for whatever reason, they don't have to do that as much because their audience is a lot more simpler. So for one guy in my comment section, it says, well, talk about the hole in my mouth. Well, the hole in my mouth is Karen. The hole in my mouth doesn't want to see Americans get hurt. I don't want to see Republicans get hurt. I don't want to see Republicans die during COVID. I don't want to see Republicans lose their jobs. I don't want to see Democrats losing their jobs. I don't want to see Democrats dying. I don't want to see either party getting hurt. I don't want nobody to shoot anybody. So if that bothers somebody to the point where I shouldn't be speaking that out of my mouth, the problem's not me.